Good morning. Thank you for joining. Thanks for popping in. I'm wearing my headset this morning because the lawn guy is out there and he likes to make a lot of noise. Hi, thanks for coming in this morning. Welcome. I hope everybody enjoyed their Labor Day weekend. And now we're back to it. I don't know if there's any first timers here. If this is your first time, please give me a couple hearts. That way I know. I have a habit of coming on and starting my scopes and just talking and not introducing myself. And I want to be able to do that so that you guys know who I am, why I'm here, and why you should be listening. So my name is Marjorie Phoenix. I am the author of the book, Who the Hell Do You Think You Are? And I am also the founder of the Forgotten Women Project. And I don't scope on a regular basis, but I scope when I feel like I have something to say. So there you go. So this morning, for those of you that have been on my scopes before, have seen my videos, you saw me with my long flowing hair, and my hair got some really good length. It was almost at my mid back, and I decided to cut it. And the reason why I decided to cut it was my 11-year-old came home a few weeks ago, and you want to talk about hair? She has thick, curly, beautiful hair. I mean, just beautiful. And she's with her father half of the time, and she's with me half of the time. We have joint custody. So when she's with him, he has no clue what to do with her hair. And so he decided that he would cut it. Now, the first time he cut it, he just cut it, to like maybe showed neck length. We could do something with it. I mean, it was a lot, but we could do something with it because the hair is so beautiful and it's so full. And she was really starting to rock her fro. Everyone's doing that, the full natural hair. And she was really getting into it. And then I get a phone call that he didn't want me to be alarmed, but when I picked her up, her hair was going to be cut. I said, what do you mean by cut? Well, it's cut short, manageable, because he could not handle her hair. Hello. Do you guys hear that? Do you hear that? I swear, I hate Tuesdays when this guy comes around. Anyway, so I go and I pick up my little girl, and she's got this cut that's like shorter than mine. It's like this little thing going on, like a boy cut. And I was almost in tears. I was like, I couldn't contain it. And I look at him like, how could you do this to her? And of course, being who he is, oh, you're being over dramatic, you're just being a drama queen. I can't maintain it. This is the easiest thing. She doesn't know what to do with it. And I gave her a choice and she chose this. She would have never chosen that. She would have never chosen that. And when I get in the car with her and I sit and I talk to her and I ask her and we talk about her hair, I say, sweetie, why? Why did you let them cut off all your hair? And she said, well, Dad said, I have a choice. Either I can keep it the way it is or I can get it cut. But if I keep it the way it is, he's not going to help me with it. And I don't know how to do my hair. So really, he didn't leave her any choice. She had no choice but to go ahead and have it all cut off. And it's been a few weeks since then, but she misses her hair. She's a girl. She misses her hair. She's got this little small fro on the top of her head. And I said, thank God you've got this beautiful face. You can do that. And then I see that it was weighing on her. And we started having a talk about her hair and self-esteem and all of that. And I said, you know what mommy's going to do? Mommy's going to cut her hair too. Mommy's going to go ahead and cut off all her hair, and we're both going to rock the short hair. And no, it's not going to look exactly like yours, but I'm doing this in solidarity with you. And so I did. I did the big chop this weekend. And then I also had my stylist go ahead and just sort of shape hers up so we can continue to let it grow. But this is really hard for me. And I want to talk to some of you out there that are dealing with the controlling ex. You know, I talk a lot about dealing with abusive relationships, and I talk a lot about the after effects. After you've divorced them, after you've left, how do you handle that, right? How do you handle that relationship? How do you maintain some, mental clarity and balance and all of that? And this one has been hard because a part of me wants to lash out. I'm like, what are you doing to my little girl? Why would you do this to her? Because I see what it's done to her. But in his small mind, he can't see that. He's just thinking he's making life easier for himself by cutting off all her hair and not thinking about the ramifications of doing that act with her. And so I struggle with this. And, I'm not Halle Berry that has, Halle Berry went to court. This was several years ago when her daughter was with her father and he proceeded to straighten her hair. The child has naturally curly hair and he straightened the hair, or he did something, or permed it or did something. And she went to the courts to have the court make sure he never alters the natural state of her hair. I mean, we're talking about cutting, but still, the ramifications that it can have on a girl this age. She's 11, going on 12. She's just starting middle school, a whole new area. This is tough, so, I can't do that with him. I can only say, look, you've got to think about this. You've got to think about our child. You can't think about what makes life easier for you. You've got to think about what makes life easier for the child. You've got to discuss these things with me as the other parent. Getting him to see that. Now that sounds rational, right? That sounds like the rational thing to ask. But not for someone that is controlling. Not for someone that is abusive. They don't do rational. They don't want to listen to that. They do what it is that they want to do. And it doesn't matter, who the bystanders are of the things that they do and the things that they say. So I know there's a few of us that are still dealing with these types of exes in our lives. And we're trying to figure out how not to let our emotions get in the way all the time when we're dealing with them. And how to also have a bit of balance with raising our child or our children to counteract what that other parent is doing, right? And if the child spends more time with the other parent than they do with you, then that becomes a bit of a challenge for us. So what I realize that I have to do now when she's home with me is to use that time to always, I don't want to say working on, but we're focusing a lot on self-esteem, self-love, and self-care. So it's so interesting that the philosophies that I'm using, not just in my own life to heal from what happened to me, but in the lives of women who have gone through abuse, is I am taking these philosophies and I'm using it now with my child. Self-love, self-care for her as she's growing up in this household with this person who's very controlling, very manipulative. I worry about the long-term effects this could have on my daughter. So there are things that I have to consider in the long run. But in the meantime, what can you do when your tendency is to fight, right? You want to not so much fight physically, but you want to fight back. You want to fight for your child, you know? And you can't always do that because it makes the situation worse. You got to pick your battles wisely. And so for me, the way to do that is how I care for my child when she's with me, and the things that I am teaching her so she can incorporate that into her life when she's with him. So it's not an easy thing, and this is why I tell people, they always talk, they always believe that once you leave that abusive environment, like it ends. And it's not, especially when you have children. It's not going to end that easily. So you have to learn all of these different things to cope with that, right? And not only for yourself, yourself's well-being, but also your children. And that's an important part of that. So, so I wanted to share that with you guys today. Cutting my hair, it's hair, it'll grow back. But I wanted to do it in solidarity with my daughter. And I think about that, some of the things that I'm going to be willing to do in solidarity with her, so that she knows that she's loved, she knows that she's supported, as she's, having to also be parented by this other person. I know he loves her. I know he won't ever do anything to harm her physically, but I also know from my own experience and just from some of the things that I've seen that there could be, some emotional harm to my child, psychological harm. But you know what? I have to monitor that. We all have to monitor that because, to be honest with you, we all grew up in some dysfunction. we all had to deal with the dysfunction of our parents, right? But again, just monitoring that and just, learning from my past, learning from my own childhood, and what I want to do different with my own kids. So, so that's why I cut my hair. And so one thing before I end, I want to let you guys know that the New Beginnings Retreat is September the 16th through the 19th in Beverly Beach, Florida. We have one slot available still, and I know some of you were asking about that. So if you want to contact me about that and see how we can make that happen for you and you can attend, these are some of the things that we'll be talking about and sharing. Coping with the abusive ex, self-love, self-care, self-healing, all of those types of things. And just coming together in community with one another and creating a safe space and a sisterhood together during that weekend. It's really going to be beautiful. So I'm looking forward to that, and I want to thank you guys for coming on today. And you can catch me everywhere on social media as Marjorie Phoenix. I'm on Snapchat, I'm on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, you name it, I'm there. And you can always reach out to me if you have any questions about the Art of New Beginning program that I'm offering and the retreat at marjoriephoenix.com. So, and I'm burning my sage here. And I picked this up yesterday and getting some positive vibes in the house and smoking it out and letting some fresh air to start the week. So at any rate, thank you guys for joining. And as always, go out and change the world. Okay? Bye-bye.